Hello students, welcome to this session of previous year question discussion, and we are discussing questions from science and technology. In the last session, we have covered questions till 2018, and in today's session, we'll cover questions from 2019 onwards. So let us start with this session. First question from 2019 is, which of the following are the reasons for occurrence of multi-drug resistance in microbial pathogens in India? Right? So, what are the reasons for multi-drug resistance in microbial pathogens in India? That is the question. That means this question is related to antimicrobial resistance. Right? So this question is related to antimicrobial resistance. So first of all, we should understand what do we mean by antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance is resistance shown by certain pathogens towards certain drugs. Those drugs earlier were used to cure or were used to treat the diseases caused by those pathogens. But with antimicrobial resistance, those drugs are now ineffective against those pathogens. And as a result of this, we will have to use certain other drugs for the treatment of those pathogens now, because the drugs which were used earlier have become ineffective now. And there are many reasons for this antimicrobial resistance, which is considered as one of the threats in world as well as in India. And the antimicrobial resistance is defined by WHO as AMR occurs when bacteria, viruses, fungi and parasites change over time and no longer respond to medicines, making infections harder to treat and increasing the risk of disease spread, severe illness and even death. Right? So that is how antimicrobial resistance is defined by WHO, World Health Organization. Moreover, as a result of drug resistance, antibiotics and other antimicrobial medicines become ineffective and infections become increasingly difficult or impossible to treat. Why they become difficult? Because the drugs which we were using earlier for their treatment are no longer effective. And now, if the drugs which are used for those treatment are not available at all, then it will become impossible for us to treat those infections. Right? So that's why AMR is considered as a health threat by WHO. The question is about the reasons for antimicrobial resistance in various pathogens, especially in India. So first statement is genetic predisposition of some people. So this is not the reason because of which antimicrobial resistance or multi-drug resistance will occur in pathogens, because genetic makeup of or genetic predisposition of certain individuals is not at all related with the antimicrobial resistance, and that's why first statement is incorrect statement. Second, taking incorrect doses of antibiotics to cure diseases. Right? So this is one of the important reasons for antimicrobial resistance, because what happens often during treatment of certain disease, we use antibiotics, and antibiotics are supposed to take for certain duration. It may be for 3 days, 5 days or 7 days. But suppose if we take antibiotics for first day and we started feeling better, there may be a case that we no longer continue the dose of antibiotics for the prescribed time. And that's why the strains of pathogens which are still there in our body develop resistance against the drugs that we have used or the antibiotics that we have used on the first day, right? So the improper or incorrect doses of antibiotics is one of the prime reasons for antimicrobial resistance or multi-drug resistance, right? So underuse as well as overuse of antibiotics lead to multi-drug resistance, and that's why second statement is correct statement. Third, using antibiotics in livestock farming. So this is also a correct statement, because in livestock farming, in order to increase the production, often the farmers use medicines, and these medicines are nothing but antibiotics. And as a result of the use of antibiotics in livestock farming, the strains of those antibiotics enter in our bodies as well, as a result of which the bacteria, the pathogens develop resistance against the overused antibiotics in the livestock farming, right? So this is also the reason for AMR or multi-drug resistance. Fourth, multiple chronic diseases in some people. So this is also a correct statement, because if there are chronic diseases in or multiple chronic diseases in few people, then the use of medicines, the use of drugs by these people will be more. And as a result of this, there will be increasing tendency in the pathogens in the body of those people to develop resistance against those medicines that have been used in excess, right? So that's why even fourth statement is correct statement, and that's why second, third and fourth statement are correct, and hence answer of this question is 2, 3 and 4, option D, right? So apart from these reasons, there are some other reasons for antimicrobial resistance as well. So we will discuss those reasons of AMR. So the main drivers of antimicrobial resistance include: first, misuse and overuse of antimicrobials, which includes antivirals, antiparasites, antibiotics as well, right? So first is the misuse. Second, lack of access to clean water, sanitation and hygiene for both humans and animals. So if there is lack of clean drinking water, sanitation, etc., then there will be a chance that these people will fall ill, and that's why they will use medicines, and the medicines may not be used in an effective manner or proper manner. And that's why even second statement is one of the important reasons. Second statement is one of the important reason for antimicrobial resistance. Next, third, poor infection and disease prevention and control in healthcare facilities and farms. So that is also a reason, because in hospital settings there will be patients, and there is a tendency in the pathogens to jump from ill patient to healthy patient or healthy person in the vicinity of that hospital, and that's why there will be a spread of antimicrobial resistance through poor infection and disease prevention in the hospital settings. Next, poor access to quality, affordable medicines, vaccines and diagnostic. So if there is lack of availability of healthcare, then there will be over the counter sale of medicines, and that will lead to improper use of antibiotics, and that's why this is one of the important reasons for AMR. Next, lack of awareness and knowledge, as a result of which there will be underuse or overuse of medicines. Next, lack of enforcement of legislation. So there are legislation which make sure that there is no over the counter cell of various antibiotics. But those laws are not enforced properly, and as a result of which the medicines are made available even without doctor's prescription, and that leads to improper use of antibiotics, right? So all these are the important reasons, and the answer for this question that we have discussed is D. Next question is RNA interference, that means RNAi. RNA interference technology has gained popularity in the last few years. Why? Right? So what is RNA interference? So RNA interference or RNAi is a technology based upon which we can make sure that the manifestation of certain characteristics related to certain genes can be curbed, right? That means we can make sure that the proteins synthesized based upon the information on genes are prohibited from being synthesized. As a result of this prohibition of protein synthesis, what will happen? The characteristics which are related to those proteins will not be seen in that particular individual. And this is one of the important methods that is naturally used by various organisms, be it plants, fungi, even animals, to make sure that they develop resistance to certain pests. There is lack of effectiveness of attack by certain pests on these plant species, especially because of RNA interference technology, right? So let me read the definition for RNA interference. So what is RNA interference? RNAi, a regulatory system occurring within the eukaryotic cells, that means those cells which have clearly defined nucleus. So it is a kind of regulatory system that occurs in these eukaryotic cells that control the activity of genes. So what RNAi do? It controls the activity of genes. And as a result of this control over the activities of genes, we can make sure that the protein that is synthesized by those genes is prohibited from getting synthesized. Next, RNAi functions specifically to silence or deactivate genes, right? So with RNAi, what we can do, we can either silence or deactivate certain genes, and thus the proteins synthesized by those genes. In a wide variety of organisms, including animals, plants, fungi, RNAi is triggered by double-stranded RNA, that means dsRNA. Next, and where all this RNAi technique or technology is used? RNAi technology is used for disease control. That means if certain genes are vulnerable to a specific disease, then we can make sure that those genes are silenced so that the vulnerability to that disease can be controlled, right? So for disease control. Second, production of animals of commercial interest. So if there is a particular gene that is leading to lack of production of, let's say, milk after some time in a particular buffalo, then we can silence that gene. We can make sure that that gene is deactivated so that milk production is not curbed or not reduced in that buffalo, right? So that is also one of the use of RNAi technology. Next, production of animal models for research use. So that is also one of the use of RNAi, because based upon RNAi, we can make sure that the animal models are resembling to human beings, and that can be achieved if we can silence or we can deactivate certain genes in the animal's body, right? So that's why even third is one of the important application. Next, RNAi has provided a way to control pests and diseases, introduce novel plant traits, and increase crop yield as well. So one of the most important application of RNA interference is to make plants resistant to certain kind of pest and those diseases, right? So these are the applications. Now let us discuss what are the statements that are being given in the question, based upon which we can easily find answer now. So the first statement is, it is used in developing gene silencing therapies, right? So the very idea behind RNA interference is gene silencing or genes deactivating, and hence first statement is correct statement. Second, it can be used in developing therapies for treatment of cancer, right? So this is also the application, because based upon RNAi, certain genes, if we found that certain genes are vulnerable to the cancer, then those genes can be silenced, and hence it can be used for the treatment of cancer as well. Third, it can be used to develop hormone replacement therapies, right? So with RNA interference, it would be difficult, or it is not possible for us to replace hormones inside the bodies of organisms, and that's why this statement is incorrect with respect to RNA interference, because RNA interference is not about replacement of hormones. If we want to silence the generation of certain hormone in the body of an organism, then that is possible with RNA interference, but replacement is not possible. Next, it can be used to produce crop plants that are resistant to virtual pathogens. So this is correct statement. So answer for this should include first, second, and fourth. So first, second, and fourth is mentioned in option A, and hence answer of this question is A, right? So since last few years, there is increasing interest by UPSC that we are seeing in the biotechnology, right? So biotechnology should be the focus of your studies. You should be very thorough with biotechnology, and this is quite interesting chapter which we will deal in our regular sessions, right? So let us discuss next question now. What is Cas9 protein that is often mentioned in the news, right? So you must be aware of one of the important gene editing tool, CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR-Cas9. So Cas9, they have asked, what is Cas9 protein? What does it do? So Cas9 protein is used to carry out genetic editing in the targeted site, right? So that's why Cas9 can be used as a molecular seizure in the targeted gene editing, and that's why answer of this question is A, right? So Cas9 is a protein which is used to carry out gene editing at the specific site. So Cas9 protein is an RNA guided endonuclease that can be used for the site specific cleavage of double stranded DNA, right? So based upon the Cas9 protein, we can target a particular site called as cleavage site on DNA, and we can carry out the cut at that particular site, right? So that is the use of Cas9 protein. Next now. Next question is, with reference to recent development in science, which one of the following statement is not correct? So out of these statements, which one is not correct? First, or A, functional chromosomes can be created by joining segments of DNA taken from cells of different species, right? So this is not correct, because till now we have not developed a functional chromosome based upon the genes derived from cells of different species, or DNAs taken from cells of different species. This experimentation we have not achieved as of now, and that's why this is not correct. Next, B, pieces of artificial functional DNA can be created in laboratories. So we are able to create the pieces of artificial functional DNA because of the knowledge that we have got about the DNAs through programs like, or through projects like human genome projects, right? So second statement is correct statement. C, a piece of DNA taken out from an animal cell can be made to replicate outside a living cell in the laboratory. So this is also a correct statement, because we can replicate, or it is possible for us to replicate the piece of DNA inside the laboratories. Last option, cells taken out from plants and animals can be made to undergo cell division in the laboratory Petri dishes. So this is the age-old phenomenon that we are aware of, and that's why out of these four options, option A is not correct, and that's why that is our answer. So answer for this question is A. Next now. Question is, which of the following statements is not correct? Again, so they have given four options, and out of these four options, which one is not correct that we have to identify? So option A, hepatitis B virus is transmitted much like HIV, right? So this statement is correct statement, because hepatitis B virus is transmitted to, or transmitted through bodily fluids, right? And that is also the way of transmission of HIV. Option B, so this is correct, so it is not our answer. Option B, hepatitis B, unlike hepatitis C, does not have a vaccine. So this statement is incorrect, because we know that there is vaccine for hepatitis B, right? Next, globally, the number of people infected with hepatitis B and C viruses are several times more than those infected with HIV. So this is a statement which we can say is true based upon a common sense, because these are quite prevalent diseases, or the viruses, that is hepatitis B and C, are quite prevalent viruses, and that's why option C is correct. D, some of those infected with hepatitis B and C viruses do not show symptoms for many years. So that is the most important reason why this disease, or these viral diseases, are considered as dangerous or fatal, because for many years people who are infected with hepatitis B and C do not show any symptom, right? So this is also a correct statement. So out of these four statements, we are supposed to find out which one is not correct, and not correct is hepatitis B does not have vaccine, this statement, because we have already discussed that it is hepatitis B which does have vaccine. So vaccine is available for hepatitis B, but not for hepatitis C. That's why answer of this question is B, right? So answer is B. Next question now. In the context of digital technologies for entertainment, consider the following statements. So the question is related to augmented reality and virtual reality. So before we go into the statements of this question, let me discuss what do we mean by virtual reality and augmented reality. Firstly, virtual reality. So virtual reality, as name suggests, is that kind of reality which is created with the help of electronic devices called as, especially called as, virtual reality headsets. And with this kind of reality, with this virtual reality, the user is cut off from the physical world and is taken into the virtual world with the help of those virtual reality headsets. And as a result of virtual reality, the contact between person and physical world is cut off, and that is virtual reality. Primarily, virtual reality is used for entertainment purpose. Now, let us discuss what is augmented reality. So, augmented reality is that part of, or it is that kind of reality which enhances the physical world devices or the physical world features. For example, if there is a room, we are able to see that room with our naked eyes. But if we see that room with the help of, let's say, camera of our mobile phone, then based upon that camera, we can also see other features in that room. So that is nothing but augmented reality, where the features of physical world have been augmented with the use of electronic devices. But in this case, that means in the case of augmented reality, the user is not cut off from the physical world. And there is no complete immersion of person in the virtual world in the augmented reality. Right? So that is the virtual reality where the user is completely immersed into the virtual world, and augmented reality where the contact with physical world are still intact. Right? So I hope you have understood the concept of augmented reality and virtual reality. Now let us discuss those statements. First, in augmented reality, a simulated environment is created and the physical world is completely shut out. So just now we have discussed augmented reality augments physical world features. It does not shut out the physical world completely, and that's why first statement is incorrect. Second, in virtual reality, images generated from the computer are projected onto real life objects or surroundings. Right? So, this is not the feature of virtual reality. Rather, it is a feature of augmented reality. Because in augmented reality, the features of physical world are enhanced with the help of various computer generated images, and those images are projected in the physical world or on the physical world objects. And that's why this statement is again incorrect, because this is the feature of augmented reality and not of virtual reality. Next, third statement. Augmented reality allows individuals to be present in the world and improves the experience using the camera of smartphone or PC. So this statement is correct statement, because as we have already discussed, augmented reality allows user to be present in the physical world. So there is no cutoff in the contact between user and the physical world. So contact will be still there, and improves the experience using camera of smartphone or PC. And in augmented reality, the features of physical world are enhanced with the help of smartphone cameras. And that's why third statement is correct statement. Fourth statement, virtual reality closes the world and transposes an individual, providing a complete immersion experience. So that is correct, because with the help of virtual reality headsets and nowadays even gloves, the person is completely immersed into the virtual world, and the contact between the user and physical world is closed down. Right? So fourth statement is correct statement, and that's why answer is Answer is B, 3 and 4. Right? So that was the question related to AR and VR. Next question now. Consider the following statements related to digital signature. First statement. An electronic record that identifies the certifying authority issuing it. So yes, digital signature is used to create electronic records that identifies certifying authority which issues it, right? So but problem is that the question is about a digital signature, right? It is not about digital signature certificates. So with the help of digital signature, we'll be able to create a digital signature certificates. And this statement, first statement, is related to digital signature certificates, because digital signature certificates are those electronic records which are used to identify the person who is issuing it, right? So it is not related to digital signature, rather it is related to the outcome of digital signature called as digital signature certificates, and hence this first statement is incorrect statement, right? So first statement is incorrect. Second, it is used to serve as a proof of identity of an individual to access information of server on the internet. Again, this statement is true with respect to digital signature certificate, but not with respect to digital signature, because digital signature is the method based upon which we can replace the traditional signature, and that allows, this method allows a document to be identified as authentic document, right? So even second statement is incorrect. Third statement, an electronic method of signing an electronic document and ensuring that the original content is unchanged. So this is the feature of electronic or digital signature, right? So first two statement, though look very close to the answer, they are not related to digital signature, rather they are related to digital signature certificates, and hence they are incorrect, and only third statement is correct, which is mentioned in option C. That's why answer of this question is C, right? So what is digital signature? Digital signature is exactly what it sounds like, a modern alternative to signing documents with paper and pen. Second, it uses an advanced mathematical technique to check the authenticity and integrity of digital messages and documents. It guarantees that the contents of a message are not altered in transit, and helps us overcome the problem of impersonation and tampering in digital communication. So it is one of the ways to make sure that the documents are authentic even if they are in transit. Next, digital signatures also provide additional information such as the origin of message, status, and consent by the signer, right? So that's why answer for this question is C. So I hope it is clear to you. Now, next question. Just a minute. Next question now. With reference to communication technologies, what are the differences between LTE, that means long-term evolution, and VoLTE, that means voice over long-term evolution? right? So you must have seen in your cell phones, often near that network mark or network symbol, we find these names, VOLT, these days VOLT, earlier LTE, etc. So what is that? So LTE, that means long-term evolution, is a standard for 4G generation of mobile telephony. And LTE is data-based standard for digital or standard for mobile telephony. Fine. So LTE is 4G standard. And what is VoLTE? So VoLTE is voice over LTE. That means with VoLTE, we can use data as well as voice services in 4G, right? So let us consider the statements. First, LTE is commonly marketed as 3G and VoLTE is commonly marketed as advanced 3G. So it is incorrect because LTE is 4G standard and VoLTE is also 4G standard, often considered as 4G plus. Second, LTE is data only technology and VoLTE is voice only technology. So, partly this statement is correct because LTE is data only technology, and for voice, earlier the services of 3G and 2G were used even in fourth generation or 4G SIM cards. But now VoLTE is being used for voice as well as data service, and that's why this part is incorrect because VoLTE is not only a voice based service or voice based technology, rather it is also a data technology, and that's why this statement is also incorrect statement, and hence both these statements are incorrect. Answer is D, neither one nor two. Right, so let us discuss this. LTE stands for long-term evolution and is sometimes referred to as 4G LTE. It's a standard for wireless data transmission that allows us to download our favorite music, websites and video fast means more faster than the previous generation of 3G. Next, VoLTE stands for voice over LTE and it's voice calls over a 4G and it is a voice call over 4G LTE network. The big advantage of VoLTE is that call quality is superior to 3G or 2G connections, right? So that's why answer for this question is D. Next now, in the context of wearable technology, so the wearable technology which is becoming popular these days, the question is related to the tasks that can be accomplished using wearable technology devices. So there are statements, let us consider those statements. First, location identification of a person. Yes, that is possible with wearable technology because most of the wearable devices have GPS, right? So that's why first statement is correct. Second, sleep monitoring of a person. So that is also possible with wearable technology because most of these wearable devices are laced with features which monitor sleep quality. Third, assisting the hearing impaired person. So that is also one of the use of this wearable or these wearable devices. They can assist the hearing impaired person. And that's why all these three are the tasks performed by wearable technology devices. Right? So let us discuss this question, the explanation. Wearable technology, also known as wearables, is a category of electronic devices that can be worn as accessories, embedded in clothing, implanted in user's body, or even tattooed on the skin. Right? So the devices that we see generally are only a part of wearables, Wearables can also be embedded in clothing, implanted in the body of user, or they may be tattooed on the skin, right? So even wearables can be tattooed on our skin. Next, the rapid adoption of such devices has placed wearable technology at the forefront of Internet of Things. So they are also a part of, or they will be an important part of Internet of Things, where the physical world devices will be connected with the internet, and based upon internet will be able to use those devices in an effective manner. Next, these devices are equipped with GPS, and hence location identification is possible with them. Next, they also monitor heart and brain activity, sleep disorders, and muscle functions. And that's why the sleep monitoring statement is correct statement. Next, a smartwatch for people with Parkinson's disease track symptoms and transits data so that more personalized treatment plans can be developed for those people suffering with Parkinson's disease. They are being used to monitor local air quality, measure pollutants, and identify hotspots for residents with respiratory illness. Right? So these are various advantages that or applications for which wearables can be used. And hence answer for this question is D, all of the above. All these statements that are given are the tasks performed by wearable technology devices. And hence answer is D. Next question now. Recently, scientists observed the merger of giant black holes billions of light years away from the Earth. What is the significance of this observation? So, recently the scientists have observed the merger of black holes. So, as these black holes are getting merged, they will be producing lots of gravitational waves. So, those gravitational waves can be detected by scientists, based upon which various observations can be made with respect to the universe. And hence, answer for this question is B, gravitational waves were detected. What was the significance of this observation of merger of giant black holes? Uh, significance was detection of gravitational waves mentioned in option B, and hence answer is B.